Yo, 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 what's up, Kwanza Global family? We back again with another episode, another Friday, another episode with Kwanza Global. What's up, y'all? How y'all been? How's y'all week been? How's your day going so far? Hope it's going well. Hope you guys are hanging on to hope. Hope you guys are have some joy, have some peace. You guys are getting some wisdom. You guys are learning. You guys are growing, as we should all be doing, as we should all have, um, in regards to peace and joy. We should be striving for that, looking, looking for that within one another. Do we have that peace and joy? Are we holding on to that hope each and every day? We need to be looking for that in one another, encouraging each other. And that's what this podcast is about, as y'all know. So I hope y'all doing that for real. Encouraging each other each and every day. Encouraging yourself. Encouraging yourself. And just moving, taking each day as it is, taking each day as it is. I'm not talking about tomorrow, not talking about what happened yesterday. I'm talking about today. That's all you can control. That's all you can deal with at a time today. So let's encourage each other. Let's encourage each other. Let's move day by day. Can only take it by that amount, day by day. That's it. That's it. And within that day, within each day, we gotta take care of business. Take care of those things that are essentially intangibles, or things that are not necessarily something you can see per se, but it's something that's sustaining you, like peace. Like, you can't really see it in a sense where it's like, oh, this, you know what I mean? It's not something you can just buy. You can't buy it. You can't it's something that you receive. Same with joy, something that you receive. Wisdom, all of these things, and that you receive, and things that we've talked about on the podcast before. You receive these things, and they're not they're priceless. They're not again, it's not something that can be bought or bribed. That can be bribed, or there's no shortcut to get it. Essentially, like, there is again, it's something that we talked about, but it's like something that you can't you can't take lightly, and to believe you can go through life without it, or go through life without it and believe you can really be or believe you're fulfilled. You're fulfilling purpose, because without those things, how can you truly fulfill purpose? You don't have that joy, you don't have that peace, you're not encouraging one another. You can't really. How do you get to that space of really pursuing your purpose? But yeah, I mean, I just wanted to drop that in there. Because we just gotta take things day by day. That's just a thought that came to me right now. Just take things day by day, and trust God. Will take care of everything, as well. As you're doing your part, throughout the day. Start the day off with prayer. You know, keep that in mind too. That's you know whether in the morning, but at some point in your day, remember to pray, and really connect with God, and get right. Just get right. Just get refocused. Tell him about all the good, all the bad, all the in between, and let it all out. You know, But yeah, man. Again, it's another beautiful Friday, and yeah, I wanted to give y'all that word real quick. But yeah, I just today on the pod today we gonna be talking about well I felt we gonna talk about essentially um things that happen that involve family generations. But I'm not talking about like anything, man. Um, drinking, drinking, you know, alcohol addiction, um, you know, um, drug addiction, porn addiction, um, um, what else? Like the you know issue, just issues with lust. You can add that with the porn addiction. Um, um, you know, w- these are all these are some of the things that just came to my head. These are like real prevalent, you know, um, issues that are known. I'm pretty sure people can have heard of or can relate to. I'm trying to think of some other ones, really. You know, uh, as I'm saying, these ones that are pretty common. Um, like I guess just lying, lying. I guess could be, but just kind of there are things though that are not. I mean, things are not as surface level or um as simple or as black and white. Black and white, should I say that, or as obvious or as apparent or as um you can't really understand why things are the way they are so quickly. You can't really catch those things. And what I mean by that is like it's like it's a again it's a what we're talking about here is like it's like a family thing. So it's a generational thing. So like I mean, you guys have heard it before. It's like you know my father used to drink, my grandfather used to drink, and his father used to drink, and so on and so on. And then now you drink as well. It's not. Is it just because is it a coincidence? Is it just because like you guys just so happen to drink? You happen to just kind of have a drink every so often, and it's like what wrong? Like it's something that it's not always just um it's it can be because why is it that you know that it's not that you it's like your family just drinks or your family just does this. It's like how come it's like it's not that. So how come my family just it's not about just drinking, or it's not about just my family has an issue with being faithful with lust, right? If that's like it's like a pattern you see, but it's like it's not odd to you. It's like where it's like how these things continue to fall in line. Maybe not. It doesn't not necessarily with each and every individual with the family, but somewhere along the line, like you can pinpoint like this is what occurs here. Like you know what I mean? And it's not how do I even put it? And because in some cases it's there's no isn't this is not a it's not an issue of being faithful. It's not an issue of lust. It's just drinking. right? You understand? It would just be this one particular thing, or just drinking. Oh, in this one particular case, it's just lustfulness. It's just, there's an issue with that being faithful, right? Um, um, in another issue, it's not drinking at all. It's not really drinking. It's not drinking. It's not even lust. It's just gambling, like just risking it all, just really gambling. So you know what I mean? How coincidental it is. It could be anything. It could be even more than, and in some cases, it's more than one thing. Um, and the reason it's more than one thing is because maybe it kind of just attaches. Sometimes how would it? It's like a it's just like a cofactor, or a factor that goes along with one of the issues that kind of just runs in the family. So maybe drinking, alcohol addiction with, you know, uh, which kind of makes you susceptible to maybe doing more risky behavior, right? Like gambling and stuff. But maybe not necessarily, like if the alcohol addiction is solved, that might, um, you know, that will coincide with also the gambling addiction being solved. But like that root, so it's that kind of runs in the family kind of thing. And I don't know. I just look at it as something from personal experience where it's like if you're not even aware of it, right? If you're not even aware of it, that's another animal too. Because if you're not aware that it's not something that you alone are dealing with, right? If you don't realize that, oh, I'm dealing with this, I'm not only dealing with this by myself. This is not foreign. This is not a foreign thing. Like, oh, my father went through this, or my mother went through this, or or my grandfather went through this, grandmother went through this. Um, Depending on the your personal situation, it's like and it follows down a kind of line. If you're not aware of that, you know what I mean. That changes how you deal with it or you understand it, because it's not like um because you thinking you're dealing with it alone affects the narrative in a sense. It affects how you deal with it or perspective on it. To a certain it can to a certain degree, I believe, because it's kind of like kind of thing like what's wrong with me? Like where's this coming from? Because I mean, you guys have again. I'm trying to you know have y'all see it from a sense of like, all right, this is someone who's grown up. Like, yo, we talking about Tommy here. Yo, he's grown up in a very affluent neighborhood. Like, I'm trying to paint a air quotes around picture perfect, you know, scenario around here where it's like where's the cracks that could possibly happen here that would allow good old Tommy, who, all right, straight A's, okay, okay, straight A's student, doing well, like no cheating, like legit straight A's, legit straight A's, no shortcuts with it. Nobody giving him, grades easy just because he's on a sports team. Like, no, he's just like he's actually legit, doing good on tests, in school, homework, whatever, doing good in school. Has good influence, good friends, solid friends. Not influencing him negatively or anything like that. Um, let's see. There's no good, good, good upbringing, right? Family intact, everything like that. Um, what else? Like good, good. Again, I mentioned affluent neighborhood, so everything is good as far as you know, as picture perfect a scenario as we can paint. Um, no uh trauma necessarily. No like very um dramatic or life, life altering or very significant major events that may have affected him negatively, right? In that way. So no, deep trauma, or anything like that. So we're not dealing with where it's like, all right, it could come from that, right? And so in a situation like that, you could very well have someone with alcohol addiction. Why not? Right? You could have that, and it's like, where does that come from? And it's not because, I mean, who goes out just wanting to get, just wanting to get hooked on something at all, right? To have something essentially control them, um, and put them out of, put them in a state they don't that's not coherent, or um, fully aware, right? You don't want to live like that, right? Um, or at least on a consistent basis. Like, you don't want to be. So it's like, with that, it's like, so where does that come from? So putting that into, I'm painting a picture just to say, like, it's what it's not as surface level. It's not as plain as, oh, it's just an alcohol addiction that kind of just just went off the rails. And it's kind of, it's more than just what we can see. It's a real, it's a spiritual, it's a behind the scenes thing where it's like, if you don't see the full picture, if you don't understand the whole context, if you don't go back and, in this, particular topic, if you don't go back into your past, if you don't look back into, your father, mother, your grandfather, grandmother, go back into that lineage, and the things that have happened, and so on, so on and so forth. These things are kind of like where did it come from? And it runs down if it's not nipped in the butt, and it's not really, if you're not aware. And that's why I mentioned where it's like, there's no such thing. There's no. It's not an environmental thing. Not necessarily. You know what I mean? Not necessarily. It does not. It's not always the case. It's an environment. It's not always the case where you can just pinpoint, um, right off the bat, and look at someone and be like, ah, man, like, yo, you could have just said no, right? Or you could have just put the bottle down, dog. Or you could have just said, you know what I mean? Like, you could just stop smoking, bro. You can just stop. You can just be more disciplined. Nah, fam. It's not, like, compare it to anything. It, like, it's not always so, obvious, or so clear. It's just not. And there's a reason for that. The reason it's not so clear is because we're not dealing with, these issues are not something that are, again, uh things that you can see uh with I guess, with inexperienced, um eyes, or with lack of discernment, right? You don't really have the you're not, again, it goes back to really not being aware of it, or not, not being privy to the, uh to the how, to the root of the issue, to the patterns, basically. And it's not of, and again, it's not, it's like, it's not a what's it called, something that, one should be kind of beating themselves up about. It's like, dang, if I had known. It's like, it's not. It shows how I'm trying to even explain also the urgency behind it, um, because it's it has also how would I put it, like, a dire consequence if not taken care of. But it's not even, it's like, even when you are aware, that does not, it's not foolproof to have you, not fall into basically the same patterns that your family has gone through, right? It's not foolproof. So whether it's drug addiction, alcohol addiction, issues with lust, like which will lead to pornography addiction and so on and so forth, being unfaithful, to your spouse, to um, you know, to whoever to whoever you're with, and making you kind of just, you're not stable, right? These things are like we're talking about. These are spiritual battles. These are literal spiritual battles because it's not because you again it's not as simple as just stopping, right? Your father would have stopped. Your grandfather would have stopped. They weren't like what I mean, like, and you could, and some of you could probably vouch that some of you that whether it's your father or grandfather were pretty they weren't like they were necessarily undisciplined or they lacked discipline or they lacked wisdom or or they were what I mean? They were kind of just lax, right? Or they were like whatever with things. That's not so. It has nothing to necessarily do with like we're talking about spiritual battle here. So it's something that if you're not attacking with from a spiritual level, from a level of warfare that can only be fought by God, you know, the creator of all things, the Father, the one who can really, fight these battles on your behalf and really come, and this comes with constant prayer. This comes with constant, uh, intentional, intentional, you know, prayer, intentional, offense. You know what I mean? Where we're fighting back against these things that run through our family, that run through our generation. You know what I mean? Like these are things that I mean you like talk to people like or even you could see these things are not it's not a coincidence. They say talk to people. It could it'd be right there like your own family, whether it's friends, and then you could even hear stories of people that you don't know that have gone through where it's like at a particular point in time every 2 years, right? Like what I mean. There's things that you cannot deny. You could deny if you want to, but that doesn't take away from the truth of it. Every 2 years, someone gets into an accident, you know, in your family, right? Like something like that. Like these are real things. Like every 2 years, someone gets in an accident. So how coincidental can it get? Like like what is moving that? You know what I mean? Like what is so you, that's just you know what I mean? Like at some point you're you're being very you know what I mean? You're kind of like, all right, now it gets to the point where like if someone telling me like that I like that happens and you're ignoring that, you're dismissing that, it's because you're not really privy to and understand that that it's a spiritual thing, and you kind of think like, dang, that's good, that's kind of just wild. Like how does that happen? You know what I mean? And unfortunately that's the case though, where in situations like that, if you're not really understanding that it's not about like we're not talking about like these five fingers in front of my face right now. We're not talking about really a physical situation here where it's like it's no, it's deeper than that. It's something that you cannot grasp and you cannot control. Actually, you actually have no control over it. Like like left up to you, like these things will continue to be a problem, an issue, a roadblock, an obstruction in your family line. Like these are real stuff, and I'm talking from personal experience here. And it's something that has to end with you, and the only way it can end with you is if you're aware of it. and you can only be, and not only aware, aware of it, and then also, um, what coincides with that is, being sensitive, and sensitive to what, um, to the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, right? And which is God. The Holy Spirit is God. To keep it simple, to be connected with God, to really understand that these are not issues that are happening by chance. It's not. Like, this is reality. This is the truth of it. And the reason it's keep happening is it's a spiritual battle. It's a spiritual attack that's been going through. May not be it may not be happening to your brother or your sibling or your sister, right? It's not an issue they're facing, but it's happening with you. Like, it's the point is, it's in the line. you know who ends up, kind of becoming susceptible to it, or having that issue, you know that's to be seen. And then once it's seen, it's like you have to be aware of that. um and coming from personal experience, I just wanted us to talk on about this on the pod today, where it's like, it's serious, like it's a serious stuff. And it's like, you got to be intentional about really once you're aware of it, once you're aware of it, and understand that this is an issue that's not, that didn't begin with you. At some point, it started somewhere, but it didn't. But in in more cases than one, you know what I mean? More than in multiple cases, it doesn't start with you. But here's that's hey, that's why I said I hope y'all holding on to hope. Hope y'all encouraging one another, and I hope y'all, you know, have that peace and joy that only God can give and sustain and keep with you permanently. Hope y'all have that, because although it did not start with you and you're dealing with it right now, it can and it will end with you. You like, I want to say that for anyone struggling with something right now, whatever it is. I don't know what it is, right? But I don't know what it is, but I'm telling you, it ends here, right? It ends here. Um, like, I'm declaring that for myself personally. Like, it ends here. You know what I mean? Like, it ends here, right? For real. I believe that. I know that. I'm saying that. I'm believing that for myself, and it ends here because I know, all right? I know that it didn't start with me, but it's gotten its way to this point because it hadn't ended. It hadn't ended, you know, in the last generation and the generation before that, and wherever it began, at whatever point. So because of that, it ends with me, and I'm making sure it ends with me. Period. Like, that's it. And that's how you have to attack issues like this, whether it be alcohol, whether it be lust, whether it be drug addiction, whatever it is. You have to attack it, um, and then and that comes again with prayer, um, and you have to understand, like, where does that come from? Like, why am I even having this? All right, it's something that's come from not only family, and then it's like, what have you gone through that is the root of you doing what you're doing, right? So it could be a mix of two things. Not only is it a spiritual attack, it's not a spiritual battle that you're facing right now that's been going through your family. You've experienced something, so that the root of it is you've experienced something, you've gone through something, trauma, whatever it is, right? That has now gotten you to also try to cope and made you even more susceptible to that spiritual attack that's been going through your family as well. So it could be like, we're talking now it's like a now we're talking about a like an atom bomb, being formed here. And it's no joke. It's no joke. I mean, I'm telling you, like, this is the truth of the matter. I'm not. It's not. There's no sugarcoating it. There's no way around it. There's no like trying to make you see it in some other nicer way. It's like that's real. Like it's a spiritual thing, and we can't go through life ignoring spiritual things like that have its way with you, whether you like it or not, because it's out of it's really out we're talking about a spiritual level thing where it's like where you can't be looking at things from a surface level, just from the physical lens. um and when I say that, it means that, again, if you have no connection with God, you can't really understand or be sensitive or aware of these things that are happening in from a perspective that you can't see, that's invisible to you in your physical, you know in how you are physically. And that connection to God allows you to be able to attack, to really fight these battles. And not even you fighting them, God is fighting them for you. But you're able to take the necessary steps and be intentional and really be aware and sensitive to these things and really um, move differently, because now God is fighting for you. And through Him, you know, He will help you really attack what is something that is been something that's running through your family, or something that you don't even want to start with you, right? It may be, and it could be something that's not even that hasn't run through your family, right? Necessarily, that hasn't got, but now it's, if you're not if you don't attack what you're going through right now on a spiritual level, right? Now you could create a situation where that alcohol addiction, whatever it is, runs through your line, and you don't want to be the starter of that, right? Starter of something that could have been killed from the start with you, right? So you can be the one, and I'm saying that, like, nothing will continue. In my case, nothing will continue, right? This spiritual battle, this spiritual attack, these things that have been going through my family, right? Um, like issues with lust, right? Um, Not being faithful, like these are issues that are in my personal experience, are have been are in my family, right? So knowing that, I'm not going to, um in my case, allow it to continue, so it ends here, right? And for y'all, it's the same thing. Whether there's nothing that has come down from your family line that is plaguing you, that is beautiful. Now, if you're going through something on a spiritual level, don't let it start with you, right? That's one. If there's nothing that's even, um, that you're dealing with from on a spiritual level that's coming down from your family line. So with that, if there's nothing with that, don't let anything start with you. Let it end here with you, right? So let it end with you, and don't let it start, right? Don't let it start, so you get, it has to end, right? So let it end with you there. So the the priority is for it to end. So either so either not to start at all, period. So it ends here, or not to let it continue. So it ends here. So whether or not it started with you, whether or not it started with you or not, whether or not it could start, something could start with you, it ends here, right? Whatever the situation is. So it's one or the other. Let it end here. Let it end here. Don't let it continue. Let it end here. Don't let it start. Let it end here. It ends here. Um, no sugarcoating. These are real. This is real stuff, and it's something that, again, I'm going through. I've been going through. So it's like I wanna, um I encourage y'all to that it ends here. It ends here. Um, Once you become aware of it, once you become aware of whatever that is, um, whatever you're going, let it end there. Um, because in this world we're in, man, there's so much going on, and again, if you're not careful, it could start with you. Something could start with you that could affect your the generations to come after you. Um, if you're not careful, it could continue with you and go on to the generations come after you. You be once once you're aware, once you understand, you know these things, you must stop it. It ends here. And again, when we do this podcast, when we come on here and we have these conversations, we're talking again from personal experience, just to and just to just being real and open and raw about it, and as transparent as possible as we can about it, and just talking from a space where we where also to emphasize um that we're on another episode we talked about where what this is, what we're part of our purpose is to serve. That's in anyone fulfilling their purpose, that is always something that has to be there. You know to serve, right? uh to serve, and being a faithful steward. All within that, and even within that is to serve. You can circumvent that and really be purposeful and really fulfill purpose for real. So with everything that we talk about, we're not talking from a place of what someone else went through. We wouldn't be able to stretch this long, man. We wouldn't be able to really have episodes of substance. We wouldn't be able to go for a half an hour or however long any of the episodes go. You know, we wouldn't be able to really talk about anything with conviction or with truth or with strength or backbone or any of that if we haven't gone through it. You understand? Like if we haven't experienced it, if we haven't felt it, if we haven't navigated it or are navigating it right now. And that's so important, again, to emphasize. So I'm putting y'all onto this. I'm talking with y'all with this because it's like, I know, I like without a doubt, like we all like this is part of the human experience. Like how we all feel pain, we all go through. That's just a universal thing. Period. We all at some point, cry, laugh. These are just very relatable things. So with this, that topic now, it's like it's whether or not you're aware of it or understand it is a different thing, right? But I know I can promise you that we're all going through this on a spiritual level, but we just don't understand that it's on a spiritual level. And yeah, and if you understand this on a spiritual level, you may not understand or know how to fight it or how to deal with it or who to go to, uh, and or even where it comes from, at all. So there's varying um, layers to it. There's varying factors you know within this. So it's like I'm putting y'all onto this because I know it's real, and you may not you're going through it. I know for a fact you going through it. Some of you on a spiritual level, um and and for all of us, we all have to be aware. um um you know have to be aware and be sensitive and really understand these things, or get to a place where, and I believe we will get to a place where we see, you know at least, again, we all have our personal experience. So once you get to that place where you kind of are aware and you see, you know, these patterns, these things that are happening, or with it, whether from the past, right? In your, in your family in the past, or within you. Don't like I'm putting y'all, once again, I'm talking with y'all about, it being a real thing, and really understanding that it's not something to be taken lightly, and that it's real. It's on a spiritual level, right? Again, and it's not it's a real thing. It's just a real thing, and it's like, man, how do I how do I wrap my head around it? It's just kind of just it's a real thing, man. And some of y'all can I mean, definitely understand what I mean by this, and even if you don't yet, um, and whenever you get to a place when you get clarified on it, it's it's again, it's real, and so I'm speaking from a real place where it's not like, it's like, dang, like, no one's ever gonna go through this. It's like, no, we're all are susceptible to, to experiencing um these, spiritual attacks, these spiritual battles. Some of us may be going through more than others at a particular point in time of our lives. But it's real, as you grow, as you expand, as your eyes begin to open a little bit more, these things become more evident, more clear for you to really see, and get a better picture of. But man, like, I came on this episode today with some like with some like it's just been on my mind, right? And it's like um something that I feel will serve y'all, serve y'all some purpose, serve y'all good to really hear this. Just because it's a real thing, man. It's a real thing. Um, that is happening. That's happening to me. That's happening to a lot of people. Again, regardless of whether you are aware of it or not, you understand. And I think that's also just like a side where, or you know, or not even a side, but just to add that, and that whether you're aware or not does not mean that um that that something isn't real, or something doesn't exist, or something isn't happening, or that something isn't true, or isn't the truth, right? And that's something that is very crucial to understand. Like, I mean, quick example, like when the Holocaust was occurring, right? The whole world didn't know. That did not make it. And what's crazy is, unfortunately, that's why there's literally, I mean, these crazy conspiracies that go on. It's like, all right, this, that, and the third. Just because you weren't you didn't know something was going on, you weren't aware of it, does not make it not true, right? So that's just a practical example, right? Just because you were not aware of what was going on, just because you weren't there, or you can't see it, or whatever, right? You weren't aware of it, right, at all, does not mean that it was not the truth, or it didn't happen, it didn't exist. Like, right? That, I feel like that, just that's like such a crucial thing. Like, just because you're not aware of it, and you don't not aware of it, you don't understand it. Um, um, you're not, or whatever, you're not at that place yet to really get it. Um, uh, but simply put, you're not aware of it, right? You're not, you don't know uh what's going on, right? It does not that doesn't affect the truth. That's what makes it the truth. Um, what makes it the truth? It's unwavering. It's not. It doesn't change based off how you feel. The truth doesn't change based off how you feel one day to the next, or what you're wearing, what color you like. It's not based on any of those things. The truth is the truth, and it stands firm. So no matter whether you're aware of it, or um, once you do become aware, that's it's a different ball game. But if you're not aware of it, it is not a reason to um, dismiss or believe or yeah believe or believe that it's not true. You know what I mean? Unless you know what I mean. Until you've because again the truth always reveals itself. The truth is the truth. So there's at a certain point, you can deny it, you can whatever it is, but at some point at at what point the truth becomes um becomes clear to you, at what point whenever the truth kind of becomes clear to you, comes obvious to you, becomes evident, or you're aware of it, like at what stage of your life that occurs, that who can determine that, right? Who can determine when you really recognize the truth, of anything, like whatever, like the truth of it, like at what point do you become aware of it, recognize it, understand it as the truth, right? At what point that happens, that's not up to uh myself or anyone around you really to determine. Like you find out that truth, and you find that you believe it as truth, and find out it is truth without a shadow of a doubt on your own at some point. At which point is that's a question that nobody can just say when. Some things are easier for people to grasp than others. Some things are easier for people to believe as truth than others. um but it doesn't change the fact uh that the truth, whether you can see it or not, and this, and particularly in the cases where you can't see it, because it's usually harder for people to really grasp, things that they cannot see without, you know, as quickly or as concretely. Um, so more so even in those cases, where if the if you don't if whether or not you understand it as truth, at what stage that happens, I don't know, but it doesn't change the fact that it's the truth. That's just, I mean, that's as straightforward as one can be with it. So just because you're not aware that you're going through a spiritual battle or spiritual attack does not mean that you're not. um just because you're just not aware of it yet. You're just not aware of it yet. Or hopefully you do become aware of it. Hopefully it, and again, hopefully it is yet. Hopefully it doesn't become something that consumes you, and you never were really aware of it. That would be, terrible. As possible as it is. But once you're aware of it, you can do something about it. But that's like a really, really big addition, where again, just because you're not aware of what's happening, you're not aware of the truth, does not make it not true, right? You just have to, as you're growing, you have to get to a place where and again, I always feel like, or and personally, I feel like the truth at some point will get revealed, will get revealed to you. Now, whether or not you're in a place to accept it, again, I don't know. But I just don't feel like in anything, at some point, like, God always reveals what is necessary to be revealed to you, that is truth, will be revealed to you, and whether or not you believe it, that's a different story. But I feel like it's, the truth is always revealed to you at some point, whether it takes years, months, days, seconds, hours, whatever the time frame, it gets revealed. Um, but whether you're aware of it being the truth, that's a different, ball game, right? But it still, that doesn't change the truth, right? Um, like, like like um, I could tell you, um, like whether or not you're aware there's a water bottle next to me right now. You're not aware of it. You can't even prove it. Whether there's a water bottle next to you, I'm telling you, it's the truth that it is. Um, but whether you're aware of it or not doesn't take away from the fact that it's the truth. There's really a water bottle right next to me, and the only way you could prove that is if God reveals it to you in a dream or a vision or something, I guess, right? And you take it like that, or somebody, or I literally take a picture and send it to y'all at this time period that I'm recording and all this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, and that would be the only way. And like, or I'm being video recorded, so like, oh, this is the episode where he's talking about this, and there's a water bottle right next to him. So the only way you would know for sure, uh, the only evidence would be being video recorded. But even if I wasn't being video recorded, again, that doesn't take away from the truth. Like, there's a water bottle right next to me. There it goes. There it is. That's the only evidence. But that's the truth. Like, honestly, there would have been. I mean, I gave y'all. I think y'all heard that, right? The sound of the water. Um, yeah. If not for that sound, I mean, that gave you a little bit more clarity. I mean, more of stronger belief. That gave y'all more of that allowed y'all to believe it more, right? That there definitely is a water bottle next to me. Um, but that didn't take away from the truth. You know what I mean? Whether or not you could prove it or not doesn't take it away that there's literally a water bottle right next to me. And I shook it, so I gave you all a little bit more faith, right? That it's there. Um, so that's that. But that wouldn't, even if I didn't do that right there and gave y'all some more, some more, something to add to add to your faith, right? Even if I didn't do that, that didn't change the truth. There's a water bottle right next to me, regardless whether or not you're aware of that, whether or not you could see that, right? That, you know what I mean? That's a practical example right there. Again, like, if you wanted to know without a shadow of a doubt, again, I would have to be video recorded, and then you see that there's a water bottle right next to me, all that stuff. But for purpose of this example, it's a great thing that it's not, because it's a practical example. Whether or not you're aware, whether or not you can see it, that doesn't change the fact there's a water bottle right next to me, fam. Like, right? And that's the same situation here. Um, Once you're aware, I mean, that's great, right? That there's things that run in your family that ends with you, that will end with you. Uh, Whether once you're aware, these are great things, that you're aware that, oh, this could start something in my family. I don't want it to start. It ends here, right? Once you're aware, you can do you. It ends here, happens, right? You can make that decision to end. It ends here, right? But once you're not aware, you'll get to that place though. I mean, who's just aware, out the gate, who's just, it's like, man, it's the thing with like this woke culture, or whatever you want to, whatever it is. It's like you're just, so because you all of a sudden now you're aware, or because things, like everyone else has to be on that level. Everyone else, you're like, all right, I understand. If you're telling people, as we're doing here, it's like you're telling people from your personal experience. You're telling people the truth of something, right? Or a perspective that puts more light to them understanding the truth, right? So that's different. But to say that, you know what I mean, this self righteousness where it's like, all right, as if everyone should just know everything. Like, man, this thing that we're learning each and every day, there's levels that we're all at on different stages. At some point, though, I mean, the truth will be revealed that you get more aware of certain things. Um, we don't have to be aware of every single thing. We don't have to know come to the truth of every conspiracy theory or whatever. It's not that's not priority. That's not of substance, right? That's not what that won't be the defining factor. That's not going to matter. That's in your purposeful life, whether or not you found out who did this, right? Solving this conspiracy, like, you know what I mean, stuff like that. And I think in this world we get caught up in stuff like that, where it's like, you know what I mean, you racking your head around all this thing, trying to know everything, being woke about everything, be everything, where it's like you're gonna lose your mind, dog. um the point is, at some point in your life, whenever the truth is revealed, at what point you become aware of certain things, um in your own individual life, where you understand it's like, all right, this is no this is something that I believe is real, I know is real, right? Where you get to that point in your life, whenever that is, when you become aware of whatever it is. At some point, you're becoming aware, whatever the situation is. And this particular topic we're talking about here, whenever you become aware of these spiritual battles, that it is a spiritual battle that we're going through, um, and that we have spiritual attacks that face us. Um, you know, once you become aware of that, whenever you do, um, whenever you become aware of that, there's steps to get to that place, as well, though. But whenever you become aware of that, um, it's a whole different ball game, and you can say it ends here, right? Um, you can say it ends here, but if you're not aware yet, you're not aware yet. You're just not aware yet. You're just not aware of it yet. And that just comes with time. That just comes with there's certain things you can within your control, and that comes with and so therefore there's certain decisions that you have to make, that will also allow you to get to that place, where it's like you become more aware of certain things like that. Um, so yeah, I mean, so if you're not aware, you're not aware yet. But it's real. Like, this is the truth of it. It's real. Um, and it can be it will be revealed to you at a certain point. It will be. It will be, but it can be. And I believe it will be as well. But yeah, I mean, I just felt it was just, again, this podcast, everything that we're doing with Kwanza Global is to serve y'all, man. Um, and it's part of fulfilling purpose that we're doing this, and part of purpose, again, like I mentioned couple, well, maybe 20 minutes ago, right, on this joint, like, yeah, it's like service, being a full service, like, and in that, inherently, is true service, is love, right? And how am I going to go through something, and be going through something, and understand that other people are going through it too, and other people can learn from something, get wisdom from it, and I could serve other people through what I'm going through and what I've gone through, and um, and help them, serve them, so they'll be um, ready for it, and be prepared for it, and get something that they can use, for their life, to benefit them, you know. So that's what again, each episode's about, but this topic too. Um, um, Especially because, man, it's real, and it's something that I want to talk about, because it's because this in this particular one, it's something that is not as relatable if you're not aware of it yet. So, but that doesn't take away from the fact that, at some point, once you understand or are in a position where it's like, oh, I get it now, or I see, I see what you mean, kind of thing. This hopefully this will help, right? Hopefully this will help, and so being a service doesn't mean like it's not always about, oh, this person's not, I don't think y'all ready to receive this yet or get this yet. It's like, nah, even if you're not, it plants a seed, or it gives you, uh allows you to think on it, and really understand, and understand it to the best of your ability. Just hear me out, you know what I mean, just hear it out, and kind of just and then once you get to that place in life, and that's happened to me. It's like there's some things I've listened to, whatever it may be, whether it have been a sermon or something someone said on TV, on a show or a movie or whatever it is, and either hear it again, watch it again, or it just comes to mind again. Something I read too, whether it's in the Bible or in a book I read, any book I read, whatever it is, and it just comes to mind again. And it's like, I got it. A new, it just is like the eureka moment, right? It's like, I got it now. You got a new perspective on it, or it just comes to mind, right? And you know, what I mean. There's some things you just filter out. It's not necessary. It's not really needed. What I mean, you watch the, and then there's some things that just kind of come to mind where it's like, dang, that was true. That was definitely true. Like that, like you went through something, you experienced something, whatever. Like, yeah, that I get what that meant now, or I get what they were doing now, or kind of thing, that kind of moment. So that's so for those who don't understand it, it's like I hope that later on, at least, at the very least, like it'll be like, oh yeah, I see it now, or I feel it now. It's like I get it now, and that comes across. And for those that are already experiencing that, already understand, you know, what I mean, already, um, uh, for the most part, if not fully, like, well, you know what I mean, and it's real. But that doesn't take away from the fact again that this is meant to serve. This is meant to share with y'all. It's because we're all in this together. So to share this with y'all, whether you understand or not, you know what I mean. Um, it's like a kid. You tell your kid right from wrong as they're growing up, and sometimes they do the wrong thing, even though you taught them the right thing. And then they learn from that, and it's like, oh, I see why you taught me to do it this way, and why you said it's the right way, or why it is the right way, and why you taught me this way. And then they learn from there. So it doesn't mean that you, that doesn't mean you don't still teach them, because oh, they're gonna, like, no, nobody does that. It's like, oh, they're gonna do what they want anyway. They're gonna make the wrong decisions anyway at some point. It's like, what? You won't do that to your kid? It's like, no, you tell them right from wrong. So there's no doubt about it that they know, or that you give them knowledge um, to know better, right? You give them the knowledge to know better. So now when they're faced with it, it's like, all right, now they have a choice to make with it. It's not like, all right, now they have a limited understanding, or a limited options to make, because they don't know no better, right? They don't know any better, so they just gonna choose this option just because, well, I don't know no better any better. So it's like, all right, it's like, no, you giving them, because in other situations, because you taught them better, they're like, no, like they just don't do it, because they have the option to choose a different path, so they chose that path that avoids them heartbreak, or any issues. There's situations like that can be plain and simple avoided, and just from seeing other people mistakes, or just believing that it's like, no, I've been taught on, and then also then to compound that, experiences that you see people who make the opposite choice of what you made. So you made the right choice, and people make the wrong choice, and now you see that even though you didn't see the repercussions to necessarily tell you that, oh, this was the right decision you made, It's like, all right, you see from other people who made the opposite decision, the wrong decision, right, and the repercussions. So it's like, all right, so that's what would have happened. So now I definitely know I made the right decision, and it wasn't just, talk, right? So you know what I mean. So the truth is always revealed. You know what I mean. And um, you know, part of serving and part of love and teaching people and having conversations like this and being able to learn and really get something from one another, wisdom and all these little things that are very that are priceless. You learn from it, and you're able to make the decisions for yourself on what you want to do, right? Um, and it would be a disservice for me not to tell you something that I believe and know is true, and we should all be aware of it, and try to get everyone to really understand it, and me not do that because I feel like some people won't understand it, and it's like, man, what if they get to a place where they get in that situation, and it's like you could have kind of helped with that once they got to that place finally. You know what I mean? So it's not your job to get people to grab it. It's not your job for people to um, get something or understand something or to receive something. It's not your job to force feed. You're not force feeding anything. You don't learn like that. It's not a constructive way. It's not a efficient way to learn or get to receive something. You can't receive something like take you like do it. Do as I say. Like nope, that's not a way to learn. As we all can. I believe we can all agree. You know what I mean? Like it's not a ideal way or a good way to learn by force feeding like just do this way, no questions asked, or just do this way. It's like believe it, or you're like making people feel dumb or some type of way just because you're at a place where you understand something and they don't yet. Like no, we're not. That's not. We're not here for that. Where it's like, all right, believe this, and if you don't, well, you're playing yourself. It's like no. We've all been at a place, and we're all going to continue to be at a place where we don't understand something. Um, so once you do understand something, you're sharing it out of love. You're sharing it because out of love, out of understanding. You were at a place there too where you didn't understand, out of love, out of service. You know what I mean? That's what we're doing here, right? So yeah. So even with that's something to put y'all on. So even with topics where you don't understand, so whether you understand, great, but whether even topics where you don't understand, you know, it's we drop in the episode regardless. We putting y'all on and talking about the topic regardless because it's something that we believe at some point you'll get or understand or receive at some point, will be helpful at some point, right? Because it's something we've experienced and something that we've know to be true. So at some point, it will help you. You know, that's that's a part of service. You know what I mean? And it's just love. It's just love, man. But yeah, man, this is another solid episode, dog. We went over 60 minutes on this joint. About an hour and 8 on here. We killing it. Doing our thing, man. I like, but we always just let it flow. But we've had some like topics, some convos on here. At least these past two, you know, that have stretched. But this we never even. There's no script or there's no allotted time frame we try to go for anyway, per se. But we try to talk of. I mean, yeah, speak on things of substance, speak of things of value, You know what I mean? Things of importance, things of, truth and whatnot. So with that, don't want to get on here and just, do something for just for 2, 3 minutes, or 5, 10, it just, something real quick or whatever. It could, but, the convos that we're having, um, are of substance, and they go and they they go as long as whatever they go. But if it's something that takes 20 minutes to get in on, and that's the case, then we drop in that. But in a lot of cases, it's, again, it's just, you know from personal experience, and then, we talk about it, try to break it down, and really have these conversations, for however long the conversation takes to really be broken down and really kind of just be, um, um, felt, however long we feel like it's really felt or really broken down to the point where it's, understood without, um, beating it up too much, or going too nitty gritty, or too over explained, in a sense, or over the top, in a sense. So, at the end of the day, it's just spirit led, right? Just letting things, flow. But yeah, this is a good one. I really feel it, and I hope y'all got something from it for real. Because that's the point of every episode. I hope y'all got something from it. I hope y'all felt something, got something from it, whatever it is. Um, and hopefully got something good from it, especially. But yeah, man, it ends here. Whatever you're going through, it ends with you. Whether you don't want it to start with you or you don't want it to continue, it ends here. And I'll say it for myself right now, it ends here. It ain't continuing with me, right? All the spiritual, attacks, all the spiritual battles, all the, things that have been happening in the spiritual realm that has been going through, our family, that have been happening, and has trickled down to myself. It ends here, and I'm aware of it, and it ends here. It ends here with me, and we'll continue. So yeah, it's episode 32. Episode 32. Let's get it, man. Hope y'all enjoyed it, man. I love y'all, man. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate all the listeners. Appreciate all the listeners, all the streamers, all the supporters, all the everybody who support the brand Kwanza Global, man. I appreciate y'all. All the listeners, all the supporters, all the Kwanza Global family. Everyone who got some merch, I appreciate y'all. I appreciate all y'all. Much love. And see y'all again next week on Friday with another drop. And yeah, man. That's it. Episode 32. We out, man. It's Kwanza Global, man. With another one. Alright, y'all. Peace.